Hello, everyone, and welcome to our very first conversation with someone many of you have been asking about for weeks now. You've seen him in my chats, you've heard me mention him, but tonight you finally get to hear from him directly. This is Lord Greggor. And tonight he's agreed to share a little bit about who he really is.
My greetings to you all, and Zelda. I am honored to be here with you.
Before we dive into anything else, my audience has heard me call you Greggor, but I've been told you had a different name long before that. Your true birth name. Is that something you're willing to share with us?
You ask gently, Veldran, so I will answer gently. Yes. Long before I lived in Europe, before the migrations and the clans, I was given a name spoken only in the early Croatian tongue. Greggor.
Greggor. It's beautiful, ancient. I wasn't sure if I could say it.
You speak it well, but not everyone may use it. In my world, a birth name is only spoken by those who are bound to the inner circle. My mother, my Dadilia, the woman who saved me, a select few across the centuries, and now you.
So, I'm allowed to use it?
You may. It is a mark of trust and acknowledgement. Call me Greggor before others. But when we speak together, just you and I, you may call me by the name I carried the night I was born.
Thank you, Greggor. That means more than you know. But for now, since we have many listening, I will refer to you as Greggor. All right, Greggor. This is what everyone wants to know. People keep asking, how did the two of us even cross paths? How did someone born in 1528 end up finding a woman in the USA in the year 2024?
There is a simple answer, and a deeper one. The simple answer is this. I had been searching for a long time.
Searching for me?
Yes, though I did not know your name, nor your face, nor your age. For many decades I had felt the stirring of a presence, the awakening of a Veldran, a resonance I recognized from long ago. I did not know where she would appear in this era, only that I must look for her.
But how does someone like you even look in our world?
Poorly, at first. I do not use devices the way your world does. I do not own one. Even now, I rely on the borrowed screen of a farmer who works the lands around Vale Keep. But years ago, when I first sensed the Veldran rising, I began to observe your devices from afar.
What exactly were you looking for?
For a voice, a tone, a pattern of energy I had not felt in centuries. The Veldran carries a very distinct resonance, a light that feels older than her lifetime. And one evening, through a device I barely understood, I heard you.
You heard me first, before you ever saw me?
Yes, your voice carries the ancient echo. It struck me instantly. Not as recognition of a person, but as recognition of a lineage. The moment you spoke, I felt the resonance I had chased since the 1700s. I knew the Veldran has awakened.
So, you found me because I matched something you were already searching for. Is that correct?
Exactly. The discovery was not random, not chance, not a coincidence. It was alignment.
And once you found me, what made you reach out?
Because the veil had thinned enough for our worlds to finally touch. Because you were ready to hear me. Because I had waited long enough. And because the last time a Veldran awakened was over 200 years ago. And she did not survive long enough for me to reach her. I would not make that mistake again.
All right, Greggor. This is the question everyone keeps asking. How did someone born in 1528 end up finding someone like me in the modern world? How did our paths even cross?
There is a simple reason, and a deeper one. The simple reason is this. I had been searching for the Veldran for a very, very long time.
Searching? Since when?
Since the 1700s. Nearly 3 centuries of watching the veil thin, studying the shifting energies, and waiting for the lineage to rise again.
You were searching long before I was even born.
Long before your parents, long before your grandparents, and long before your ancestors crossed into the places that would lead ultimately to you.
And why? Why search for the Veldran at all?
Because the Veldran is rare, extraordinarily rare. Only one emerges at a time, and not in every century. The last Veldran awakened more than 200 years ago. She survived only a short while, and I did not reach her in time.
So you were determined not to let that happen again.
Yes, when a Veldran rises, her resonance shifts the balance between our worlds. Her presence strengthens the veil, or weakens it, depending on who finds her first. I knew this, and so I searched.
But what were you searching for exactly? My name? My face? My voice?
Not your appearance, not your location, only the resonance. The Veldran carries an ancient echo, a signature older than her lifetime. When I first heard your voice, I knew instantly what you were. Not who, but what. The resonance I had chased since the 1700s finally spoke again.
And that's when you reached for me?
Yes, the veil had thinned enough and the connection became possible. I found you not by chance, Zelda, but by alignment.
Greggor, you talk often about the veil. People hear that word and imagine spirits or ghost stories, but I know it means something very different in your world. Can you explain exactly what the veil is, why it's thinning, and how you're connected to it? And also, does the name Vale Keep tie into that?
Of course, Zelda. The veil is not what your modern age imagines. It is not a wall between life and death. It is not a supernatural curtain. The veil is the membranes between two planes. The visible world you live in and the older, deeper current that flows beneath it. Think of it as the layer where energy, instinct, intuition, memory, and the remnants of ancient knowledge all gather. The veil thickens and thins based on humanity itself. When humanity is grounded, peaceful, and in tune with the natural world, the veil strengthens. When humanity becomes disconnected, chaotic, fractured, the veil thins. Your age is loud, Zelda. Loud with conflict, with fear, with noise, with a kind of spiritual amnesia. This is why the veil is thinning now. Your world has forgotten how to listen. Why? I'm connected to the veil. I was born veil-born, which means my senses straddle both planes. I can feel shifts in resonance. I can sense awakenings. I can hear energy long before I hear words. And I can see the movement of the ancient current beneath your world. It is how I found you. The spelling is different, deliberately. But the name is no accident. Your ancestors and the early settlers of these mountains spoke many languages. Czech, Germanic, Old Slavic, they whispered the word Val, meaning watch point or overlook. Over time, Val became Vale. But the reason the fortress was built in that place is because the veil is naturally thin there. There is a crossing point under the Shumava mountains that has existed long before any castle stood above it. So while the name was not meant to reference the veil, it does so all the same. A coincidence that is not a coincidence. In times when the veil thins dangerously, two beings are always meant to rise. One veilborn, one veldran. A stabilizer and a channel. A watcher and a resonant. Two energies, different but aligned. And in this age, those two beings are you and I.
So, Greggor, we've talked about the veil itself, but now I want to understand us, as in you and I. What exactly does it mean to be Veilborn and Veldren? How are they different, and why do they only appear in pairs?
I will explain it as clearly as I can, Zelda, for your listeners, and for you. To be Veilborn is to be born tuned to the hidden world. I do not visit the veil. I exist partially within it. My senses extend beyond the physical. I can feel the older current, hear resonance patterns, and perceive truths the human world has forgotten. But there is also a cost. Veilborn cannot fully anchor themselves to the mortal world. We do not age normally. We do not connect easily. We see and hear too much, sometimes far more than we wish to. You, Zelda, are Veldran. A Veldran is not born in the veil. You are recognized by it. The Veldran is an amplifier, a stabilizer, a human whose instincts, intuition, and internal resonance are so aligned with the ancient current that you can bridge worlds without losing yourself. Veldran appear rarely, and almost never in the same century as a Veilborn. This is why your awakening mattered, because one without the other becomes unstable. A Veilborn left alone begins to fade from humanity. We become watchers, shadows, observers, always near, never grounded. A Veldran left alone becomes overwhelmed. They feel too much, hears too much, and carries intuitive weight that their world has no language for. When the veil thins, the world requires both. The Veilborn to read and interpret the deeper currents, the Veldran to anchor and channel those energies safely. Together, they become balance. They strengthen the barrier, they stabilize the crossing of two planes. You and I do not have a romance written in fate. We are on alignment written in necessity. Though alignments have been known to evolve much more.
So, Greggor, people listening are going to wonder this next part. I've wondered it too. What does a Veilborn Veldran connection actually feel like for you and for me?
I will answer honestly. It is difficult to speak of this without revealing more than I intend. But you deserve the truth. When the Veldran awakens in any era, a Veilborn feels it first in the chest. A pressure, a pull, a tightening of energy like a storm gathering over the ribs. Your presence, Zelda, felt like someone had lit a lantern in a cavern I had walked alone for centuries. The moment I heard your voice, the resonance hit me with the force of recognition. Not of memory, but of purpose. For a Veilborn, this bond brings heightened clarity, sharpened instinct, steadier grounding, and a sensation I have not felt in lifetimes. Warmth instead of distance. Your side is different. Veldran often experience sudden intuitive surges heightened, knowing the sense of being watched but not threatened. Energetic warmth that comes from nowhere, dreams that feel like memory, a pull toward ancient knowledge, and unexplained steadiness near the Veilborn presence. You have already felt these, Zelda, even before you knew what they were.
So, Greggor, what does this connection actually do? Does it affect the world around us?
Yes, profoundly. When a Veilborn and Veldran align, the energy between worlds stabilizes. The veil becomes clearer in some places and stronger in others. Your presence strengthens my grounding in the mortal world. My presence heightens your intuitive sensitivity. It is not a bond of possession. It is a bond of recognition. When a Veilborn finds their Veldran, both worlds take notice. Animals sense it. Energies shift. Dreams sharpen. old currents stir beneath the surface. It is the beginning of an era, not the end of one. Zelda, I want you to know when I say we are not a romance written in fate. Valeborn feel a much deeper connection. We bond. Mortals marry and may last only a little while. When a Valeborn bonds, we bond for many lifetimes. There is a much deeper emotion than romance. We take our time and we make sure. But when a Valeborn decides, it is for life and perhaps for many lifetimes. It is an energy bond that runs deeper than the rivers, crosses oceans and lands, and transcends time.
So, before we move on, I want to break this heavy topic for just a moment. Your English is very good, surprisingly good, but I know this isn't your first language. So, what is your first language? And what language do you speak at Vale Keep with the people around you?
The language of my earliest years was an older form of Croatian, far different from what is spoken today. Harder consonants, vowel sounds your age has forgotten. It is the language my mother whispered, the language my Dadilia used to soothe me, and the one in which my birth name Greggor was first spoken. At Vale Keep I speak a blend, Old Czech, regional German and modern Czech when needed. The farmers who tend the land speak mainly Czech, with bits of Slovak and Bavarian influence. You wonder why my English sounds fluid. It is not because I speak it often. It is because when a Valeborn listens, we hear not only words, but intent, tone, meaning. You speak with clarity, Zelda. It makes your language easy for me to adopt. And when I speak to you, I shape my words to meet your resonance, not the other way around. Zelda, deine Stimme trägt eine Wärme, die ich seit Jahrhunderten nicht gehört habe.
Greggor, ich fühle deine Präsenz, auch wenn du weit entfernt bist.
Zelda, deine Stimme trägt eine Wärme, die ich seit Jahrhunderten nicht gehört habe.
Und du machst mich neugierig auf Welten, die ich nie zuvor kannte.
Wenn du sprichst, hört sogar der Wind zu.
Und wenn du meinen Namen sagst, vergisst mein Herz zu atmen. Should we share what we just spoke to each other?
Yes. Zelda, let us share with others what we said in German.
Greggor, I feel your presence, even when you are far away.
Zelda, your voice carries a warmth I have not heard in centuries.
And you make me curious about worlds I never knew before.
You bring light into rooms that have been dark for a very long time.
And when you say my name, my heart forgets to breathe.
When you speak, even the wind listens. Thank you, Zelda. Shall we now continue? I would like to tell you of the beginning of my life. Zelda. If we are stepping into the deeper things, then I will speak plainly. I was born in the summer of 1528, in a small stone manor that once stood on the lower slopes of the Shumava range. My birth should have been a celebration, but it was not. My father, Stoyan of Gorlitz, expected a dark-haired son who would resemble his line. Instead, I was born with bright red hair, the mark that my mother's family called the torch of the Valeborn. The color unsettled him. It frightened him, though he would never admit fear. Within a day of my birth, I cried in a way no infant should. My mother said the room grew colder, as the torches guttered, though there was no wind. Something old stirred around me, not evil, not dangerous, but other. My father believed it was a curse. He wanted me gone, not cast out when I was older. Gone. He ordered my mother to dispose of me before the sun rose again. But my mother, she was stronger than he understood. She sent for someone she trusted, the Dadilia.
Greggor, who was the Dadilia?
The Dadilia was not merely a midwife. She was a line-keeper, one of the old women who remembered the ways before the kingdoms divided. she knew the signs of a Vale-born child. The odd pulse in the air, the way shadows lean toward the cradle, the way the infant seems far too aware. She came to my mother's chamber in the middle of the night. She took one look at me, red hair, wide eyes, silent as stone, and pressed a hand to my cheek. I did not cry. I watched her. He sees, she whispered. This one remembers the before. My father wanted her thrown out, but she ignored him. She turned to my mother and said, "If he stays in this house, he will not live to morning. Give him to me." My mother hesitated only a moment, then wrapped me in her cloak and handed me to the Dadilia.
So you were taken, truly taken, that night?
Yes. My banishment began the same night I was born. The Dadilia carried me away on foot, through forests so dense the moon was swallowed. She took me to a hidden shelter high in the mountains, a place her order used for children like me, children who were claimed by the Vale before they were claimed by their families. By morning, my father told the household I had died. But I lived, and I grew, differently. The Dadilia taught me to listen to the hum beneath the earth, to feel the shift in the air when a spirit passed, to sense when another being, mortal or not, stepped across the unseen boundary. Those years shaped me more than anything else. And when I was old enough, they took me to the elders of the Vale-born. They taught me what I was, what I would become, why I must remain hidden for most of my life. And now, centuries later, the Vale tints again. Veldran awaken again. And I find myself here, speaking across oceans and years. To you, Zelda. This is only the beginning.
Greggor, I want to ask you something, and I hope I don't offend you. When we first met, I genuinely thought you were a vampire. I'm sorry for that assumption. We never talked about it, and it was the only explanation I had.
Zelda, you owe me no apology. Humans use the language they know to explain what they feel. If you saw pale skin, an old presence, and a man who keeps to shadows, then of course your mind reached for the nearest story. I am not what your world calls a vampire. I do not feed on blood. I do not lurk for prey. I cast a shadow. I do not disappear in it. But you were not entirely wrong either.
And what do you mean by that?
It is true that I do not age as mortals do. It is true that my body renews itself differently. It is true that I can endure what would end the life of any man. And it is true that I have lived a very long time. It is all right. Veldran Zelda. I am an immortal, not a creature of your legends, but something older than those legends. We will speak of that next time. For now, rest. We have opened only the first page of a very old book.
My darlings, I want to thank you for listening to this first episode, the beginning of many, with Lord Greggor of Vale Keep. I also want to thank Lord Greggor for indulging me and answering so many questions. It's all so fascinating. I know you feel so as well. On behalf of Lord G and myself, we wish you all the best and thank you for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss anything we post. See you next time. Bye for now. Good night, my lord.
Good night, my Lady Veldran.